Plan A didn't work. This is plan B, because I already hyped myself up to talk about books today. So, hi! I read 6 books in July, which is like, I've just read a lot in general this summer, but I wanted to share. Okay, Riot Baby by Tochi Onyebuchi. I listened to this on audiobook. It was relatively short, and because of that, I didn't really get it so much. I don't know, maybe it just wasn't really like a plot thing, but just like abstract snippets and emphasizing certain things. And so it's set in a future world where there's a lot more technology, and it follows a brother and sister who has magic powers, kind of teleportation, hallucination kind of things. I don't really know what happened. The brother was sent to prison, and there's mass incarceration in this world, as there is today, of black people, as there is today. And, you know, it's kind of, oh, we have a better world because there's less crime, because a giant portion of the population is behind bars. But yeah, it just seems to emphasize and highlight things of this like mass incarceration society, and critique people's thoughts on this is a positive thing, and you know, this helps society, and all of these thoughts. I don't really get what the point of this book was. I enjoyed it. It was super cool, and you know, I loved the way that it was written and certain quotes and the way things were said. I just don't know what happened in the book. But I liked listening to it, so yeah. Another book that I don't have, and then we'll go on to the ones that I do have before I forget. Palace of Illusions. I heard of it because I read Arusha and the End of Time, and in there it talks about the 5 Pandava brothers and this epic of the Mahabharata. Anyway, in that epic, the 5 Pandava brothers marries one woman named Draupadi, and the Palace of Illusions is a book of that epic told in her perspective. And so I thought this was a super cool idea, and I was very, very excited for it. But I was a little bit disappointed. It was an okay book. It was beautifully written. It was kind of written in like old style. There were a lot of very visual descriptors, and it seemed very beautiful, like the way everything was, you know, written kind of magically and flowy and all of these things. But I just was not attached to any of the characters, and it still felt like Draupadi was being dragged along throughout the entire story, even though she's like the main character and there wasn't much about her. Like maybe there was some character development, but I just didn't care about her. I don't know, maybe if you knew of this epic for a long time and then you read this book, you would be like, whoa, it's like emphasizing how much she went through. But for me, who basically just read this book on its own, maybe she's growing a little bit, and just the way this book was portrayed to be, oh my gosh, this woman power focused on women book, I thought Draupadi would be so amazing, and it would show how much she did for these 5 heroic brothers behind the scenes that isn't acknowledged. But she wasn't super strong, and it was okay. I just wanted more. Next is a book that I lent my sister, Amari and the Night Brothers, which after I read it, I was obsessed with it, and I was talking about it so much. Like, if anybody asked for a book recommendation, I would give that. If anybody asked for my favorite book, I would give them that. If anybody asked for my favorite world, I would give them that. If anybody asked for, like, it just took over my entire brain for a week. Sunny and I read this together, so it was super fun. We read the last third of it together, video calling and reading it together, and it was just so much fun. I just love squealing live with people and being like, Sunny and I had no idea what was happening through that book. It's a middle grade book, and I was kind of hesitant to read the middle grade book because I read Arusha, and that one was disappointing. It was flat and it was very plain. I guess this is what middle grade is, but Amari and the Night Brothers was so good. It was so good. Oh my goodness. I haven't felt this in so long, where like I want this world to be real, because as I was reading, I was like, this is just so fantastical and whimsical, and everything is just written so beautifully and cinematic. I want this to be the next like Percy Jackson, where a whole movie series comes out, and I think it could be. I think if this became popular, I think if this became well known, it would be super popular. Like everyone would love it. Will it become well known? I don't know. But I'm gonna hype it up as much as I can, you know? If I could donate all of my money and guarantee that this will be a huge hit in Hollywood things, I would give all of my money. There are no guarantees, which is why only rich people take risks. But yeah, I want this to be so big and so amazing. It was so good. Okay, explaining what it is about. Amari is a middle schooler and she has an older brother named Quentin who graduated high school, and he was like top of his class and amazing and just this super wonderful, beautiful, kind, caring, supportive, super smart brother. And after he graduates, he gets accepted into like all of these Ivies and things like that, but he rejects to take on this secret job, and then he goes missing and the police don't really care or believe them. So Amari like goes on this adventure to find her brother, to find the truth about her brother, and to find out about his secret job, which involves this secret magical world. And it was just so amazing. The way it was written, beautiful, whimsical, and Amari goes to this private school or some kind of more like elite school where it's very predominantly white. And so she is oftentimes singled out there and going into this magic world, and then at times like flopping back to the real world and her home, just seeing how she feels and how she's treated in these worlds. I just love the way her background, her home, her hometown, her blackness living in the USA was not just at the beginning and then she goes into this magical world and everything is fine and beautiful. It was still incorporated and weaved in throughout the entire story. The worry and also like the mom working so hard. The mom is such a hero. It was just so beautifully incorporated throughout the whole book. That's what I like. I don't want to forget who they are and what they've been through. Yeah, it was just so beautiful. And there was also a scene with fortune telling things. Like, I have goosebumps. Just that whole history and being like, your lineage is so powerful and such leaders. And it was just so cool. I loved it so much. I loved it so much. I thought middle grade it would be a super simple book and super obvious, but it wasn't, because Sunny and I got a lot of things wrong all of the time. Okay, we'll move on. Gilded Ones. I wanted to kind of flash back to when I read a little bit more dystopias, and I was like, oh, I think this will be cute. And I don't know if you all know the series Uglies, Pretties, Specials. I read that series. I really, really loved that series when I was in middle school. I did not read a lot, but like that and Tiger's Curse were like the only things that I read.
What is that? It gets worse.
Yeah, I was expecting Gilded Ones to be kind of like specials where, you know, they're kind of different, but then they get pulled into this elite squad. Yeah, this is the team of specials. They go on special missions. They're elite and good. But in Gilded Ones, completely not what I expected.
Y'all, I am mortified. Oh my gosh, that thing was crawling all over my body. Don't want to look at it, so we're not going to look at it. It's going to be covered up by baby me, baby Dana, wearing a hanbok. Come to the live stream show on Sunday evening or Monday morning. Check the times. La la la. So yeah, we're going to cover it up because I cannot look at it. And I don't want y'all to look at it either. And
so the main character is Decca, and it follows this, you know, dystopian society where when girls turn 15, they slit like their chest, and if it bleeds red, then that means you're pure, and then you can like get married and all of these wonderful, beautiful things. That's people's lifelong goals. Oh my gosh. But then Decca's runs gold, which is the color of impurity, and that you're descendants of these Gilded Ones, which were demons of long, long time ago. So then she's supposed to die, but then a woman comes and asks if she wants to be recruited to an army of girls, all like her, all who bleed gold. And so, yeah, she joins them. But in this, they are not treated as good soldiers. They are not treated as like special people. They're treated very, very awfully. They're treated as demons. They're treated as impure souls that need to be punished. It was just so much more intense than I was expecting. Something that Rachel wrote in her review of it, the writing style is very simple, straightforward. It reads very young, which I agree with. I wasn't really super vibing with the book. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll finish it. It's like a cute, fun story, but like it's kind of like, okay, whatever. But then the things in the book are like very not young, very not simple and cute. Like, there were a lot of really, really intense things of how these impure girls are treated, tortured, and a lot of other things that I will not say here. Yeah, there are a lot of trigger warnings for this book. Oh my gosh, I did not think that this book would be like this. Oh, but one aspect that I really, really liked, that I was really, really annoyed with at the beginning, is that there's this spiritual text, like religious text, called Infinite Wisdom. The god or creator is named Oyomo. That scared me, oh my gosh. What were we talking about? Gilded Ones. Yes, the creator is named Oyomo. So Deka from the beginning, and she was like, ah! Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Hi, you can leave now. Ah! Oh no. Ah! Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't dislike bugs. I just don't want them to be on me. How'd you even get on me? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Hi, it's 2 days later, and I have rashes all over this arm. I'm not going to show you because I don't want it to last forever. I don't want to remember this. But then again, I'm putting this caterpillar on the internet. I'm never going back to that place. Like, oh my god.
Basically, Deka's family is like super religious and into it. Also, everyone in her town is like very pale and skinny and has like small features, and you know, all of these like, I'm just a little nymph fairy thing. And her mother was from another land, and so she's darker skinned and she doesn't look like everyone else, and so she's felt like she was ugly, and other girls have told her that she was ugly like her whole life. Now every time I feel an itch, I'm like, ugh. Okay, then when she goes into the Gilded Army thing, she meets a lot of people from all around, and she's like, wow, and I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, this is all over the place. Her family is super religious. She's super religious. She's like, please, Oyomo, I'll be pure, I'll do whatever you want, pray every single day, and like all of these things. And she really, really, really wants to be pure, like so desperately wants to be pure. While she's like being tortured and things, she keeps saying like, oh, Yomo, please, please. And when she's actually recruited to go to the army, the thing that tips her to join is that, oh, after 20 years or whatever in service, then the emperor will like wash you of your sins and then you'll be pure, right? She's like, oh, I can be pure? Oh my goodness, I can be pure and be accepted by this society that treated me super, super poorly because my blood was gold. Like, oh my gosh, I can be pure. Oh my gosh, yes, yes, ah! But then there are some girls that are like, this is BS. Like, I don't care about being pure. Like, this is all BS and awful, and like, I was treated so awfully. Like, I don't even care if I'm accepted by them or not, which is very fair, and I feel like a very appropriate response. But Deka, throughout so much of the book, kept wishing for purity and for forgiveness and acceptance. Then, in the end, she kind of drops it and kind of figures things out. She also reflects back on how this whole religion thing has brainwashed her entire life, wanting to be pure, listening to this Infinite Wisdom's book that was written by men, and you'll figure things out. In the end, I was like, wow, this is an amazing book. 2/3 of the way in, I was not so interested. In the middle, it was just like very repetitive. They could have taken out a lot of the middle. And then at the end, like so many things happened all so fast. And I feel like it could have been kind of, everything was being revealed all at once. Whoa, 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 whoa. It was amazing. The actual final reveals and what was actually happening and all these twists was amazing. Everything makes sense. Would I read the second book? Sure. Also, Rachel said that she didn't like Ixa, which is like the little pet. But I like, that was the only good part of the book. I don't know why Rachel didn't like. I'm just kidding. It's fine. Now, books that I actually have with me. Strange the Dreamer. I've literally had this for over a year. I checked it out last year at my library. They allow you to have it for 2 months. You can renew books up to 10 times, and nobody is checking this out. So I've just had it for over a year now. But I finally read it. Oh my goodness. It was so beautiful. I'm sorry, Yasmin, for pushing it off so long. Well, I was afraid because it was fat, and also I heard that there was flowery writing, so I was like, okay, basically, like, I will never be able to get through this book. It's just gonna be super slow paced, and I'm gonna be so annoyed. However, it's just so perfectly flowery, but it also just flows so beautifully. Like, I read this so fast. Because it was just flowing like water, and it was amazing. How do I describe this book? Because there are so many things that happen that are twists, kind of. I don't know. But the main character is named Laszlo Strange, and he is a dreamer. He knows about this city and has heard like beautiful tales but then one day nobody remembers the name of the city and they only remember the word weep. Laszlo is like super fascinated with this world and dedicates his whole life in the library to find more information about this city and trying to uncover the secrets of it. And it's so cool what he's able to piece together, and just like he's so smart. And then he has an opportunity to go on this adventure. The ending, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. The world was so cool in this. Everything was written so beautifully and magically, and I can't even explain so much what this book was, because basically magic does exist and there are like gods and things. But also, a note, I looked up fan art because I was like, wow, I love this so much. I want to see how other people have imagined this character. And he's supposed to be brown. Everyone kind of from his town is supposed to be brown. But everywhere I look, he's always a tan white god kind of feel. Get what I'm saying? So, oh well. I'll just keep imagining them as I do in my head. And then the book that I most recently finished, this I read while I was in New York at the beginning of the month. And this I started while I was in California near the end of the month. I read this with my friend, and he reads very slowly, but he read this in like 3 days. Holy moly. It's very engaging, and there. Takes place in Oakland, generally that area. And basically the big thing is that all of these characters are indigenous to this area. I think most or all of them are Cheyenne. I believe the author is Cheyenne. Yeah, Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes of Oklahoma. Anyway, the characters in this book are meeting up at a powwow in Oakland. There are 12 different perspectives in this book. 12 is a lot. The introduction of this book, oh my gosh, shook my world, and I am trying to read more books to fill in gaps in my historical knowledge from the US education system. Wow. Which is why When My Name Was Kyoko, which I'm reading right now for live stream thing, haha, please come. Which is why that was so mind-blowing, because it was about World War II, but not just Europe. It was about the other side of the world in Asia and what was happening there. And so I had never heard about it. And anyway, there are a lot of indigenous people who live on the reservations, but there are also a lot of indigenous people who live in cities. And I think a big thing of this book was to show the range of connections that indigenous people can have to their history and their ancestry. The first perspective that is shown in this book is about a teenager who basically plans to rob the powwow. Is that a spoiler? It's in the first chapter, so yeah. I just thought it was such an interesting choice to make that the first chapter, because in the introduction it talks about how there is no representation of indigenous people in modern US. A lot of Americans don't even know that indigenous people still exist. So it was very interesting that the first perspective that we see is this indigenous teenager who doesn't really care about his background. Let's rob the powwow. Okay, I don't know. I just thought that was so cool. Of course, there is huge range of people's connections and things throughout the whole book, but also it was a lot. 12 perspectives, and within each perspective there are also a lot of other side important characters. It was just a lot to keep track of, and it was really cool. I love multiple perspectives, but also it was just a lot to keep track of. I wasn't really invested in any of the characters. I felt like some of the characters only had one chapter, and I don't know. I would have been personally more interested if it just took a few of those storylines and really explored that. But then also it wouldn't give the same feel of all of these 12 lines crashing together at the end, which is always the best thing of multiple perspective books. And also wouldn't achieve the goal of showing such a wide array of feelings and involvement in the powwow and other aspects of modern... Oh my gosh. So basically, those 12 perspectives did a very good job at, I feel, achieving the goal of it, but it also made me... I mean, I still loved this book. I loved it. I adored it. In the middle, I was kind of lost it. There were too many people. I would ask my friend a lot, do we know this person? Have we met this person? Have they talked before? Is this the person who was from the beginning? So that was confusing. And then the end, so many things happened. I'm still kind of confused about the end, but I think I did a very good job. I just personally really like knowing the characters. But yes, beautiful book. Yeah. Okay, hopefully, thank you, wind, for making my point. Hopefully the wind wasn't too bad.